Excuse me, the lawyer would like to speak to somebody. Oh my God, they're literally running away from me.
She has not seen her husband since. Khalil, who has been in an immigration detention center in Louisiana for 2 weeks, is one of many international students that the Trump administration says it plans to deport for their alleged actions in student protests on college campuses.
This is why these people are so disingenuous. He didn't just give an opinion. They were targeting a subsection of our population through violence, pushing a political agenda. And he was the one in the middle of negotiating and organizing a lot of this stuff. You ain't a citizen. You F around and find out. This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com, TatumStore.com. Ladies and gentlemen, check it out, 80% off. March Madness bracket 80. 80% off. You pretty much getting, I'm losing money on this, but I love you guys anyway, and you've been so good to me, so I'm okay with doing that. All you got to do is go to the sales section, find your favorite product, put it in the cart. It's going to automatically give you the discount code. Also, check out the reviews. This is something I'm incredibly proud about. We have 17,000 reviews. All you got to do is look at it. 15,000 of them are 5-star reviews. Then we have a couple 4-star, and then down here where we have 300 1-stars. Everybody that gives a 1-star, we try to remedy it. Sometimes people get the wrong product or whatever, it happens, but it doesn't happen as much as people are satisfied with the work that we do. 15,000 5-star reviews is something that we're proud of. Like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notifications anytime I go live, make a video. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. Here's another topic that I want to talk about related to the whole Muslim thing too, is this Mahmud Khalil. So Mahmud Khalil was a Columbia University graduate student, a green card holder, and he ended up getting deported. Now, many believe that his deportation had a lot to do with the fact that he was accused of organizing protests and disruptions that were pro-Hamas. Now, I haven't even watched this full interview. I put my life on it that if she's asked during this interview directly about disavowing Hamas, I could be wrong. I haven't watched it. I could be totally wrong. But I have seen this play out time and time again. If she's asked directly, do she disavow Hamas? I can almost guarantee you that she is not going to unequivocally say, we do not stand with Hamas. Hamas is not for us. Hamas is a terrorist organization. We don't support them whatsoever. I almost know that she's not going to say that. I see people on campus I debate with all the time, and they have this theology that I back them into a corner on, and they have to come out swinging for supporting Hamas because you say, do you think that Israel's occupying Gaza? Do you think it's a genocide? Then do you think, because I say, well, then do you support Hamas? And they go, yeah, well, no, well, then what should they do? What should be the result of that? They have to deduce themselves down to saying, well, like Hamas did. That's what they got to do. That's how they get out of oppression. That's how they get out of a genocide, which is all made up. There's no genocide going on in Gaza. It's a religious conflict that's going to go on in perpetuity. And I honest to God believe if they had more power than the Jews have, they would exterminate the Jews from planet Earth. I guarantee you they would. They just can't. That's why they haven't. The Jews can exterminate them, but they won't. That's the difference between the Jew and the Muslim and Israel, is that the Muslim wish that they could kill them, but they can't. And the Jews can kill them, but they won't. I'm just keeping it real. Roll the clip.
My husband was taken away from me in the middle of the night. It was one of the most terrifying times of my life. I don't think I've ever experienced anything scarier than that.
Noor Abdullah, a 28-year-old dentist born and raised in Michigan, has suddenly found herself in the center of a storm she never saw coming. She and her husband, 30-year-old Mahmud Khalil, had been living in Columbia University housing while he completed his master's degree, and they awaited the birth of their first child.
Turn around.
Okay, let's not.
That all changed on the evening of March 8th when federal agents arrived at their door.
And he was like, are you Mahmud Khalil? Mahmud said yes. And the man said, "We're with the police, you have to come with us."
What's going through your mind at that point?
I was scared. I was terrified. Yeah, they just like handcuffed him and took him. I don't know what to do.
Abdullah used her phone to document what
Hold on a
happened
second.
next.
I'm gonna let him finish it, but I think I said his name wrong. It's Mahmoud, not Mohammed. He probably wanted to name himself Mohammed, but it's Mahmud Khalil. That's what it looks like it is. I totally said Mohammed for some reason. It's Mahmoud. All right, roll the clip.
At this point, Mahmoud was like, "Go take the keys, grab my green card." He thought maybe like if he shows the green card, you know, we'll be fine.
Did you think that if you showed the fact that your husband was a legal resident with a green card,
Yeah.
that he'd be okay?
Because I was like, this is just a misunderstanding. They're going to take him away. They're going to take him to 26 Federal Plaza, see that he has a green card. He'll be home in a few hours. Excuse me. They're not talking to me. I don't know. Excuse me. The lawyer would like to speak to somebody. Oh my God, they're literally running away from me.
She has not seen her husband since. Khalil, who has been in an immigration detention center in Louisiana for 2 weeks, is one of many international students that the Trump administration says it plans to deport for their alleged actions in student protests on college campuses. Noor Abdullah says her husband Khalil, a Palestinian born in Syria, became the lead negotiator between protesters and the universities.
This encampment is a minor inconvenience compared to the generational shaping events taking place now in Gaza.
People really trusted him to be good in that role because he's so calm and good under pressure.
The president wants the...
But in the days following Khalil's arrest, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt painted a different picture.
This is an individual who organized group protests that not only disrupted college campus classes and harassed Jewish American students and made them feel unsafe on their own college campus, but also distributed pro-Hamas propaganda.
You also know that the press secretary said that your husband circulated pro-Hamas flyers. Did he?
That's not true.
Is Mahmoud pro-Hamas?
These are accusations that the Trump administration keeps pushing on him.
But what do you say to them?
I think it's ridiculous. It's disgusting that's what they're resorting to, that's the tactic that they're using to make him like this person that he's not. Literally, it's so simple. He just does not want his people to be murdered and killed. He doesn't want to see little kids' limbs being blown off, you know?
The university led us to this situation, unfortunately.
This is what they push on him. Why don't you say, no, he's not a supporter of Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist group. But it's like somebody asking me, do your loved ones support the KKK? Well, of course not. KKK is, I'll tell you now, none of us support them. They're a terrorist group. But that's not how they really feel. Because you would never see content where he's bashing Hamas. You would never see content where they're coming out against Hamas. They should be, to be honest, they should be anti-Hamas. They should be, if they're being true to themselves, they should be anti-Israel and anti-Hamas. That makes sense, right? Because Hamas done commandeered their country, took money and resources, built tunnels, started a war when some of the people probably didn't want that drama. They started anyway by going and killing and having people hostage. Then if they think Israel is occupying, they should be mad at them. Why can't they be mad at Hamas and Israel? But y'all know the truth. You know the truth. They really support Hamas because they believe that Israelis are occupying them and it's a genocide and they needed to stop. How does it stop? With force. They revered them as heroes. Now they know for a fact they can't just come out and say it, but they will never talk against them. They are totally fine with this. They won't come out and condemn the hostages being in Gaza. They won't come out and condemn Hamas for what they did. They will never do it. Roll the clip.
Bringing the police here.
Mahmoud Khalil has not been formally charged with any crimes, and the government has showed no evidence he provided material support to terrorist groups. Instead, Khalil's been arrested and detained under the Immigration Act that allows the Secretary of State to deport any person whose presence or activities would, quote, have potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequences for the U.S.
If you are in this country to promote Hamas, to promote terrorist organizations, to participate in vandalism, to participate in acts...
It's like something wrong with the clip. So pretty much he's saying they violate the terms of your green card and you're going to get deported. Let's put something in perspective real quick, because people are getting on the television and making up lies. And I'm going to prove it to you, because The View, put them on the screen real quick, and I'm going to play it in a second, but let me put some facts out there. The View is going to make an untrue statement, and they should have to have a legal note for this, because I got the facts right here. They are going to make a statement to say that green card holders and United States citizens are co-equal, which is not true whatsoever. Let's look at the facts. Visa holders do not hold the same rights as U.S. citizens in several key areas. Let's talk about those areas. Deportation risks, okay? Visa holders, including green card holders, which is what Mahmoud is, or whatever his name is, can be deported if they break laws or are seen as a threat to U.S. citizens. That's a very big distinctive difference. Citizens can't get deported because of that. Due process. Both visa holders and U.S. citizens are entitled to a fair trial and legal counsel, but visa holders have fewer protections regarding their rights to stay in this country. The First Amendment rights, both groups have the right for freedom of speech and protest, but visa card holders can be restricted if their actions are considered a threat to national security, which is what Habubu did. Right to stay. U.S. citizens cannot be removed from the United States of America, while visa card holders can be deported if they violate their immigration status. In Khalil's case, green card holder, he has many rights, but is still at risk of deportation due to his immigration status and actions that may have been a national security threat. How are we still talking about this? Okay, let's add some more context here. Homeland Security has not publicly detained or determined or detailed why they targeted Khalil. What is being circulated in the media is this: allegations of concealment of employment, right? There's allegations that the U.S. government claims that Khalil did not disclose his work with the United Nations Relief and Work Agency, an organization providing assistance to Palestinian refugees. So as a green card holder, you have to disclose your involvement, especially when it comes to foreign policy involvement, or not policy, but foreign aid involvement. That could be a violation of his green card status. That's one of the reasons he was detained. Other accusations is that he supports Hamas, the Palestinian militant group, which we all know and have seen them in their ridiculous behaviors, but yet his wife is denying it and saying it's ridiculous and disgusting, although they will never go into detail of why. Now, with all that I said, listen to these cackling hens having heat flashes, just saying whatever come to their butt first and then to their brain. Roll the clip.
Welcome back. We were talking about this administration's mass deportation plan. And is this plan, do you think, what people voted for?
I don't think so. And I love how you started this, Whoopi, because you started it with the law, which is what Tom Holman was saying. You know, Americans, once you are here, especially if you have a green card, you are a permanent legal resident of the United States, which means that you have the constitutional protections that every American citizen has. And that includes free speech, and it certainly includes due process from being disappeared. And so I want to just point out that on March 8th, legal permanent resident who has a green card, his name's Mahmud Khalil, was taken from Columbia University housing. His pregnant wife is due next month. Plainclothes men in New York grabbed him, put him into an unmarked car, then moved him to Jersey, which is something that is done in authoritarian governments, then moved him to Louisiana, which is one of the worst detention centers that we know of in this country. He has said there's a letter that everyone, I hope, reads. He calls himself a political prisoner. I believe that he is. He did that, wrote that March 18th, 25. And what is so shocking to me is that this could happen to someone who is a permanent legal resident with a green card, with an American wife, about to have an American child, being disappeared because he spoke out, because he had his freedom of speech, and because he basically spoke out and gave an opinion that now the State Department is saying is against our foreign policy.
Hold on. He didn't give, this is why these people are so disingenuous. He didn't just give an opinion. There's a whole bunch of green card holding students that give opinions. We saw them idiots on the campus. They should get kicked out of school for supporting a terrorist group. But it's his support for organizations that are pushing propaganda to support a terrorist group. And then also the organizations that he was leading, and he had, I don't know if they gave him a director role. He was directing them. They were creating violence on campus that targeted Americans who were Jewish and those who weren't American who were Jewish. But they were targeting a subsection of our population through violence, pushing a political agenda. And he was the one in the middle of negotiating and organizing a lot of this stuff. You ain't a citizen. You F around and find out. And we have the legal authority to do it. Roll the clip.
I think the key here is due process, because I've used this stat many times. 89% of Americans support deporting people who've committed violent crimes in this country. It's a no-brainer. We get that. But the stunning lack of due process and unaccountability of being able to say who has been rounded up in these cases. And I would even point to this instance that Sonny mentioned. I do not agree with the speech that he's used. This is somebody who's associated with a group that praised October 7th and said that it was a moral and military and political victory. But I still believe, despite the fact that that was the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust, he is still entitled to due process in this nation. And the courts have intervened. I'm going to keep coming back to this theme. He is still here on U.S. soil. He is still going through the court system. He has an attorney representing him, and they will determine if he had ties that warrant him not being here. But purely speech and taking away due process is just not how our system's meant to work.
Stop it. These people are so silly to me. How is it taking away due process? Due process, you still go to jail and get detained for things that you've done while they're investigating and doing what they have to do. If you are in America and you've been accused of a crime, he's been accused of things that either violated his immigration status or he's a national security threat. So the country has a right to detain that person into a facility where they're not a flight risk and all that other stuff that they can end up doing while they're being investigated because they know they're being investigated. So the due process is saying, we're going to take you to a facility and hold you while we determine what we're going to do about this. It's almost like a person getting arrested for a DUI. Technically, you're innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, they saw you driving a car and you blew a freaking .34. Yeah, but you're still innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But that don't mean you don't go to jail. They don't mean you have to sit in there until your day. You have your day in court. I don't know what they think that due process is somehow different for people who are green card holders or because you're a Muslim. Bro, if you violate your immigration status, which I think this is the reason they picked them up, because they found a violation of immigration status. And if you're a national security threat, you are going to be detained at a facility and you'll have a right to defend yourself at some point, which is exactly what he's being afforded. They didn't deport him back to Palestine or wherever he said he was from. I forget where they said he was born at. They didn't deport him back there. No, he's at a facility in America. He's getting due process. And these dumb, hot flash women are just making up stuff at the side of their neck just because they want to support somebody. Listen, if this was a person in America that's being treated improperly, they wouldn't care if they're conservative. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't be talking about it on the show. They have a vested interest in supporting people that don't like America. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Everybody on the panel should be like, yeah, if he in fact did that, he needs to be deported. Because they never get to the question of if he did it, what should happen? He don't have due process. Okay, due process aside, if he did support Hamas, if he did lead an organization that pushed Hamas propaganda and said that Hamas is a necessary military group, and he's pushing that as a green card holder, should he be deported? They'll never have that conversation on this show. They won't, they can't. Because you know what the answer should be. Roll the clip.
The transparency Anna alluded to, like if they just list who's on these flights, if they just told us these are people
they don't have
know
to.
They're associated, I think people would be more on board. The interesting thing that Anna and I were just speaking about at commercial is Trump's deportation numbers have not actually increased on what Biden was at. But it's the way they're using it to kind of as a red meat type of thing that, like you said, the military planes, all this is happening, and it is shocking to imagine that the numbers are not up. That's just an important notice.
And also just to note.
They made me sick to my stomach, but I got to do it so you don't have to do it. The fact that they're saying the numbers are because the amount of people coming over here has decreased tremendously. And we had tariffs that we imposed on Canada and Mexico in order to get them to cooperate and put troops on the border. Canada agreed, we paused tariffs. Mexico agreed, we paused tariffs. So Mexico is actively preventing people from coming over here. And we're actively showing that if you come over here, you'll get deported. So the number of people trying to travel into our country has mitigated by a lot. Therefore, there's not as many to deport from the border versus when Biden was in office and we had 30,000 people a week or something coming over in our country. I think it was like thousands and thousands a day. So you got a plethora of people to deport, but they can't be genuine for 30 seconds. Roll it.
Khalil has not been found, has not even been charged with a crime.
Well, and I heard recently that Haitian folks who are here
They're losing their
are losing their protective status.
Yes, they are.
Well, he's revoking the parole program that was started by Biden for Venezuelans, Cubans, Nicaraguans, and Haitians. And by the way, Venezuelans, Cubans, and Nicaraguans who are citizens mostly supported
But in
Donald Trump.
October, before the election, Biden himself said, we're not going to renew this program. You need to find other forms of staying here.
Right,
so that
but they
wasn't
only gave
something
him
that just
30 days.
I'm not saying it was handled right, but that started under Biden, just to be clear.
Yeah. Well, whoever started it, this is not the way we do it. This is not the way we do it. But you know what? It's going to take all the voices because as I look in our audience, I can't tell who's from where.
All right, shut up.
I don't
I'm
know.
tired of hearing these fools. They foolish as a mud. It's very clear, man. I don't know what other way to say it. You're in our country illegally. We have laws. If you don't like it, change the law. You don't get to say, I'm not going to enforce the law because I'm only going to enforce it when I feel like it. That's not how it works. It's that we have a law on the book, enforce the law. If you don't like it, take the law off the book. But you're in our country illegally. And then we don't owe you anything. So you're here on a green card and you out here supporting Hamas, who's a terrorist organization. And why are you here? Why are people arguing to keep these people in our country? Because they have to oppose Trump. It's not because they have a legitimate reason to feel like, Mahmud Khalil deserves to be in America because this is the value he's adding. No, they don't believe that. It's because Donald Trump did it, and they're like, this could be a headline. Donald Trump deports Muslim his wife is a citizen, and they put I want to call her another word. I want to call her B word. I was going to call her broad. Okay, I wasn't going to call her that one you thought I was going to call her because I'm really saved. They put her up on TV and make her out to be this innocent. These people are terrorists, in my opinion. I wish you could see their electronic communications. Now, if he's under investigation, they may be able to extract that. I guarantee you it'll come out that they're talking about Hamas is so good from the river to the sea. They doing all kind of stuff, bro. Every time I go to a university and I debate people that support Hamas or they hate Israel, and they always say the same thing. You would never question them, y'all. If they on live stream, send them a super chat and ask them a simple question, a simple string of questions. They're all going to lead to supporting Hamas. I've seen it with my own eyes. I got it on tape. I should make a highlight tape. You ask them very simple questions. Well, Israel is wrong. Okay, all right, we get it. Well, what should be done then? They have no solutions. Or you say, well, is it occupied? Yeah. Is it a genocide? Yeah. Well, then what's wrong with what Hamas did? Well, I didn't say I support Hamas, but what's wrong with what they did? And many of them would flat out say they support Hamas. The guy last week said he supported Hamas. He just openly said he supported Hamas. Of course they do, because they believe it's a genocide. Why wouldn't, if you're involved in if you're getting genocided, why wouldn't you support somebody standing up and fighting for your freedom and safety? You can't have one without the other, y'all. Don't let these people trick you and lie. If you think Israel is occupying Gaza and they're committing a genocide against the Palestinian people, then someone retaliating to free and fight back for their people's livelihood is not actually in the wrong.